Hi friends, May here with Happy Coffee Creative. We also have Edith who's sitting off to the side for this first video that we're doing for this week. So Happy Coffee Creative strives to offer affordable, accessible art and creativity classes. Each week we're going to be posting a new lesson with a new theme, and this week's theme is Wild Wonders. You can see a little bit of our cat tree off to the side here, and one of our wild wonders, Freya, is over here just out of view of the camera. We have lots of cats at our house. So,
6.
Yeah, 6. So you may see them coming in and out of our videos from time to time. But they're very on theme for this week. In addition to the theme each week, we're also going to be getting inspired by a creative person who could be either alive and working today, or they may be someone from history. And so today's inspiration, or this week's inspiration to go with our Wild Wonders theme, is Jane Goodall. So you will find a link to our workbook for this week, Wild Wonders. There's 2 different versions of this workbook, actually. There is a free version, which you can find on our website. You'll see a link for that with this video. So the free version that you can get of this workbook will come with a bio on Jane Goodall, so you can learn a little bit about her, as well as all the instructions that you'll need for an art project to go along with this week's theme. If you join our Happy Coffee Creative Club, you can see Freya's playing with her cat tree leaves over here. You'll get access to a longer version of this workbook where you will get all sorts of fun things, more lessons. You'll get a total of 12 projects that you can complete. You'll also get like a fun mood board to go along with this theme, and some other fun things that we'll talk about. But to kick off for today, so this is going to be a 2-part video. The second one that we'll post will guide us through one of the projects from our workbook. But for this first one, we wanted to share with you a book that we actually own that is called The Watcher, Jane Goodall's Life with the Chimps by Jeanette Winter. So we happen to have this in our home library and thought, what a great opportunity to share it with everyone. Okay, I've moved closer for a better view so you can look at the pictures with me. And again, we're reading The Watcher, Jane Goodall's Life with the Chimps by Jeanette Winter. Jane, where are you? Jane, can you hear me? Everyone had been searching for hours and hours looking for Valerie Jane Goodall. Then, from the hen house, Jane came running to her mother, shouting, "I know how an egg comes out." At 5 years old, Jane was already a watcher. Jane watched all the animals in her world, big and small, earthworms, insects, birds, cats, dogs, and horses. Jane quietly watched an English robin at her window for days and weeks. She saw him come closer, then into her room to eat some crumbs off her bed. When spring came, the robin even built a nest in Jane's bookcase. Perched high in her favorite beech tree, Jane read about Dr. Dolittle talking to the animals and Tarzan living with the apes in Africa. She wanted to go to Africa too and talk to the animals and live with the apes. When Jane's school days were over, she worked and saved to buy a ticket to Kenya. She hid her earnings under the parlor rug for safekeeping. Crossing the ocean, Jane stayed on deck and watched the waves even when the cold wind blew. She saw all the different blues and greens of the sea and fish that glowed through the dark water. As Jane stepped onto dry land, she closed her eyes in joy. Jane looked for work with animals. A famous scientist, Louis Leakey, was looking for someone to watch and study chimpanzees to help us understand the animal most like us. Would Jane be interested? Yes, she would. Jane traveled to the place in Tanzania where the chimps lived, Gombe. I wanted to learn things that no one else knew, uncover secrets, she wrote. She set up camp far from any human dwelling. That first night, Jane lay awake listening to new sounds, the croak of a frog, the hum of crickets, the laugh of a hyena, the hoot of an owl, and looking up at the stars, she knew she was home. At dawn, Jane walked into the forest. Up high, she found a peak to watch from. Every day she climbed to the peak to look for chimps. But though she could hear their pant hoot calls to one another, she didn't see them. Jane walked down into the forest, hoping a chimp would appear. Still, the cautious chimps stayed hidden. Secretly, they watched Jane. When will I see a chimp, she wondered. Then Jane fell ill with malaria. Lying in her tent, burning with fever, she almost lost hope. But when the fever left her body, she tried again to get close to the chimps. More weeks and months passed, till one day, the chimps let Jane see them. She stayed in the background, never hid, acted uninterested, and quietly watched. Now Jane watched every day, all day, even huddled in the rain. She saw the chimps accept the rain, not look for shelter as we do. And she kept notes about it all. You have to be patient if you want to learn about animals, she wrote. Some nights, Jane even slept on the peak to be near the tree where the chimps were sleeping. She woke at dawn and saw them slowly rise from their nests, sit for a spell, then go off to find food. Jane named the chimps. To her, each one was different, just like us. A gray-bearded chimp was the first to approach Jane. She named him David Graybeard. David Graybeard he has taken bananas from my hand. So gently, no snatching, she wrote. David Graybeard let Jane come close. She watched him shape a stick into a tool to dig for termites. Before this, nobody knew that wild animals made tools. She watched David Graybeard eat meat. Before this, everybody thought chimps ate only plants. And because David Graybeard trusted Jane, now the other chimps let Jane come close too. Chimps all around me, what a day. Chimps near, chimps far, old men, young men, ladies, children, babies, teenagers, the lot, she wrote. Jane watched the chimps when they were happy. She saw them hold hands and hug and kiss and laugh just like us. Jane watched the chimps when they were angry or scared and their hair stood on end. She saw them swagger and throw tantrums and kept out of the way. Jane watched the chimps at the Kakombe waterfall, leaping and swinging in awe and wonder at the tumbling water. At night, after a supper of beans and tomatoes and onions, Jane listened to Mozart and Bach as she wrote up her notes from the day. Years of notes were piled high everywhere. Jane needed help, and so assistants came to watch and write. One day, Jane sadly left Gombe. All across Africa, forests were being cut down, and the chimps were losing their home. Poachers were shooting grown chimps and kidnapping their babies to sell to laboratories, to the circus and as pets. Jane's beloved chimpanzees were in danger of becoming extinct. They needed Jane to speak for them. Jane hated to leave her friends, but she knew she must. She traveled to big cities and small towns the world over, month after month, year after year, asking for help to save the chimps and the forests. Jane returned to the forest of Gombe whenever she could. She climbed up to the peak, calling hello to the streams and hills and trees, David Graybeard at her side. Jane watched and listened again to the pant-hoot calls of her friends, and when she went back to civilization to speak out for the chimps, Jane carried with her the peace of the forest. The forest in Gombe, where she talked to the animals like Dr. Dolittle, and walked unafraid like Tarzan, and watched and wrote and opened a window for us to the world of the chimpanzees. And then there is a note about this story in the back, which is a little longer, so I won't read that one this go around, but I hope you enjoyed this book for part 1 of our video. And again, if you want a longer bio on Jane Goodall, you can check this book out yourself and read that note in the back, but there is also a bio on Jane Goodall in our Wild Wonders workbook, either the free version that you'll see a link to on our website to download, or if you join the Happy Creative Club, you'll get a longer version with that bio and some other fun stuff inside. So that's it for this first video and kicking off our Wild Wonders theme. But keep an eye out for our second video, because that's where we'll be doing the craft or art project that we have all lined up for you for this week's theme of Wild Wonders. So we'll see you in that video.